Well, we had, 20, 22 periods out there today, trying to really, put our guys in a very stressful situation today in terms of back-to-back days. This is three in a row for them. Put them in very difficult situations. Part of this is, as you guys know, you're installing offense, defense, special teams. You're making assessments relative to, your starters, your key backups. But you're also trying to build a mindset with your team. Today was, trying to really put our guys in stressful situations, both on offense and defense, and being able to, handle those with the right balance of emotional control, execution, smart, decisions, and quite frankly, the football team that we're going to put on the field this year, I think, is going to be a much more balanced team. Those three guys that made big plays for us last year are not going to come walking through the door for us this year. And I'm referring to Daniels and obviously Neighbors and Brian Thomas. So offensively, we're going to have to be much more efficient, much more balanced, and defensively, obviously, we're going to have to be much improved over last year. But more importantly, we're going to have to win close games. We're going to have to be mentally strong late in games, and we're going to have that kind of mindset that, when things get difficult, we're going to be able to overcome and win, and in particular on the road. So that's the kind of day we had out there today. It wasn't much more, about, who's the number 2 star or who's the backup left guard. It was a mindset day. So, again, hot, three consecutive days, physical. I was happy with a lot of things, but today was a growth day for our football team. So that's what was the practice today.
Coach, Savion Jones and some of the offensive line have talked about this, how the defensive line and the edge rushers have become much more nuanced in their pass rush attacks, using their hands more, getting quicker off the ball. Do you also believe that this has been the case and that these guys are just creating a little bit more variety in the way they rush after the passer?
Yeah, Kevin Peoples. He's outstanding at what he does. He's a great technician, great teacher. He has those guys the whole day. As you know, we brought in 2 defensive line coaches for that purpose, to be a really good defense in this league. You got to get to the quarterback, and so I felt it was important that we brought in somebody that was really good at teaching pass rush and being specific at that. And Kevin's the best in the business, and it's starting to show itself in the teachings on a day-to-day basis, with our ends, and it's starting to show itself.
Coach Blake on Saturday talked about big week for the defense this week. Can you talk about their improvement this week, and specifically where did they need to improve at this point in camp?
Yeah, I think it's much more about the finer details. Blake brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm to the group, and I think that's great, right? I mean, those kids love playing for him, and there's a great camaraderie and energy within the group, and I think that's a big piece, to playing the kind of defense that we want. But having said that, we're still work in progress when it comes to the finer details, and I think Blake would tell you if he was standing here right now, it's about getting lined up. It's about the fundamentals. It's about making sure that we're communicating effectively, and that's where we'll continue to really drill down and demand that we get that. We don't want to mistake activity for achievement. We really have to get that from our group, and so we're demanding the right things. We're asking for the right things from our players. we're certainly getting upticks in performances from players across the board, but as a unit, 11 together, that's the next thing that we've got to see an improvement in.
Brian, just your assessment of two different position groups to this point, your safeties and your punters. How do you feel about those, what you've seen out of them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think from the safety position, we've got to continue to stress them in tackling. That's really going to be a big piece for us is can we erase some mistakes up front? And when we say mistakes up front, if we cut a gap loose, if there's an issue up front relative to a run fit, can those safeties erase for us? And we're not there yet. We need to continue to evaluate that. I think we've done a pretty good job relative to the communication. That was going in something that we were concerned about. I think that's been a piece that I think has been really, from my end, a pleasant surprise. We've gotten good communication. We're not in a position where we feel like we're not getting the right calls and executing the right coverages and, obviously, coverage fits back there. So that's good. We've got a young group that we're trying to get as many reps back there as well. With the veteran guys out there, Jordan and Jordan, those guys are doing a really nice job, but we got to continue to get the young guys some reps as well. That will be the next stage for us in the development of the safeties. At the punting position, I think we've got two guys that in some ways, I think complement each other, and that I think they both can help us. We just need to find out in what realm. They're both extremely talented. They both have big legs. I think the one that stands out to me right now is we need to get consistency, because we'll see a couple of incredibly, big kicks, and then we'll see one that is certainly not effective enough. So we'll let those guys continue to challenge each other, but I think it's going to sort itself out, and if we got to play them both, we'll play them both. If that's what ends up happening.
Hey, Brian, going into the last week of camp, I guess the cornerback position, how's that been progressing, in particular Stamps, and then how's Alexander, how's his knee holding up?
I think Stamps and, Sage and PJ, Jair, JK, all those guys are getting a lot of work. And then Alexander, I think, is getting better by the day. I think it's just a matter of he just needs more reps and more confidence. Coming back off of an ACL at that position is probably, if not the most difficult, I think it's probably the most difficult position with, the change of direction, plant, drive, all those things. But he's a different player than he was the first day out here. I think there's a lot more confidence. So he'll keep getting better. We haven't put up a depth chart, really. We're rolling out different guys, and I think Corey's looking for the same thing that I'm looking for. Who's able to stack days together consistently, instead of, well, I had a good day today, but I didn't have such a good day yesterday. And I think that's probably everybody, including, the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. We just need to be more consistent. We have a good day, and then the next day is not so good. I think it's just this group now it's about, this is probably not a great analogy, but, we're getting close to like moving day, like in golf. Like, these guys need to understand that over the next few days, this is where we need to see who are those guys that can stack days together. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's kind of moving day for us. We need to see those guys that are going to stack days together.
Coach, in the middle. We've seen a lot of Chris Hilton this camp. I'm curious, what kind of role do you have envisioned for him in the offense, and what do you think that opportunity might mean for him given the injuries he's faced through the first 3 years of his career?
Yeah, like it's his time, right? You know, he's waited patiently. I think he's put himself in a great position physically. You know, he's healthy. He's worked for it. He's put in the time in the off season. He had a really good spring, and I think he's had a good camp. You know, he's caught the ball. He's been effective. I expect him to have a really good season for us. You know, he's a deep ball threat, but you know, he's shown a proficiency in terms of his route running. He's gotten better since even preseason camp. You know, I thought he left a couple of balls out there where he needed to come back and be a defender on a couple of routes. I think that learning curve for him is real, and he's getting better each and every day. But I think he's going to be a real impact player for us this year.
Hey, Coach Kelly back here. Two questions, but it's on the same subject, so I'll just go back to back. What went into the decision to bring John Emery Jr. back? He'd gone through 5 years. I think he had posted he's going to UCLA. How did that come about, and how did y'all finally decide to bring him back in the purple and gold?
Well, there was a bit of uncertainty, you know, with Trey Holly's situation, which opened up, you know, the opportunity at that position. I think that was one thing. I think the other was that he graduated, and you know, we kind of put a mandate on that, you know, he had to do the work academically. And I think the third thing was that he really did an incredible job rehabbing from the injury, like compliance-wise. Like, he was very committed to playing again. Like if he was kind of so-so about playing, like, he was committed. He was going to play. And so when we added all that up, you know, it just, you know, and Frank and I talked about it. I said, look, we've got a kid here that, you know, a lot of things didn't go his way. Some of it was self-inflicted, but he's really shown that he wants to do this one more time. And so, you know, we sat down, we thought about it, and we offered him the opportunity. And he had other offers out there, and he felt like this was the best opportunity, and we're glad he's back.
The 6 year of eligibility, so he never had a red shirt, but he got that COVID year. How did he get that 6 year? Was 2021 when he sat out? Is that like a medical red shirt, or how did he get to a 6 year?
It was due to some medical history, yes. I can't get in the specifics of it because of the different things that I'm not allowed to speak with, given his medical situation. It wasn't a knee, it was a medical situation, so he's covered under that.
Hey, Brian, got two for you. Earlier this week, Stamps talked about in Blake's scheme, you know, there's more man coverage and more press outside, and that's allowed him to play more of those style of football that he likes to play. Have you noticed that in your assessment of him going through spring and preseason camp at this point? And then, two, just wanted to ask you about an update on Jelani Watkins.
You know, the report I got this morning on my desk was that his man coverage was, you know, pretty good relative to balls defended in camp. So, you know, you ask any corner, they all want to play man. You know, there's not a corner that wants to play, you know, zone coverage. They think they're the best at that, and that's good, right? I mean, you want that kind of mentality. But, you know, defended balls, pass breakups, his numbers were best in camp. So, you know, I think he feels comfortable being out there. He's moving well. He's pain-free. You know, he had some nagging injuries last year. So I just think he feels confident out there. He's stronger. He's had a real good year in the weight room. And I think his confidence is high that he can play in the SEC against the very best, because he goes against them every day. Jelani has... he's got a foot sprain and an ankle sprain. You know, we did an MRI, so there's no Liz Frank. So this will be one where, soft tissue injury, Owen and his team will get him back pretty quickly.
Hey, Coach. One of the main eye catchers this fall camp has been Kamarian Pipton. As we've gotten deeper into fall camp, what do you think is his biggest improvement so far?
Maturity. He's just becoming more mature, and when I use that statement relative to maturity within the game of football, and picking up his assignments, being accountable for. Look, playing tight end, you got to do dirty jobs. And there was a question as to whether he wanted to do the dirty jobs, At times it seemed as though he was going to be happy just being spread out. And that's not the case. He really understands the importance of getting in there, putting his face on guys, blocking, and so that's a maturity, right? That's an understanding of the position and what it takes to get on the field. So, sometimes that just is just a matter of time, right? Guys just kind of understand that if I want to play tight end in the SEC, this is what I have to do. Some guys do it right away. It just took a little time, and I think a lot more confidence in the weight room, where now he's stronger and he feels like he can go in there and do that. We knew the pass catching was there. That wasn't something that we had to worry about. It was the other things, and he's done a nice job there, and that's what's put him in a position where we can feature him.
Coach, I was wondering if you were concerned about being predictable by substitution when it comes to your running backs. Do you feel like they've been able to kind of spread the workload around and everybody's up to a level that you're comfortable with, so that there's not necessarily any tells when they're out there?
Yeah, our running game is going to feature inside, outside, counter, misdirection. All of them can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. I mean, there'll be some third down specialists, just like there is at every level, where you put a running back in that's really good on third down, catching the ball coming out of the backfield. I'm okay with that. Some guys are going to be featured more on third down, but on first and second down, all those guys are capable of doing what we need to do on first and second down. Third down, we'll have a guy in there that we feel like is better suited for third down, but not on first or second down.
Hey, Coach, a lot of goal line work today. Just curious if you were, what you made of it, and if you were encouraged by how competitive it was, especially from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, the first play we bounced it outside for a touchdown, so I wasn't really that happy with that. Obviously, we want to contain the football. Look, as I said at the outset, this was much more. Look, when you're backed up on first and goal from the 10 or first and goal from the 6, you shouldn't be there, right? So you need a mindset defensively on how are we going to play this. Like, is it, okay, they're going to score, or let's find a way to keep them out of the end zone. Let's hold them to 3. So today was building a mindset. And, I saw some good things defensively. There's the resolve that we're looking for, that we're going to dig down, bite hard on our mouth guard, and find a way to keep them out. And, we saw a turnover on offense. We saw some sloppy play on offense where, that can't happen. Offensively, we've got to be able to score every time down there. So these scenarios are set up not necessarily, to challenge the play callers as much as we want to challenge the mindset of the football team and put them in those kinds of situations. So when we get back down there, we can recall, what are we looking for? How do we want to think? And today was about that. And we saw some really good things, and things that we can build on and have that as a recall of what we need to do. We had 2 guys in the neutral zone on a defensive stop on a third down. But that's no good if we have 2 guys in the neutral zone, on a third down stop. So we had a touchdown that Nussmeyer threw, but the play clock had run out. So each one of them is a teaching experience for our guys down there to build a better way to think about things. You're responsible for the play clock down there. We can't be running out on the field calling timeouts in those situations. It might be the end of the game. So all of that was crafted and put together today to build that with our football team as we get closer and closer to, beginning preparation for an opponent.